The theme this evening is creating a food system in such a way that it is equitable, both farmers and ecological for the environment, and the role of the individual, the community, and the institutions. Ramsy, after a 25-year career in the financial sector, organic farmer Ramsy Kassouf is practicing holistic agriculture to benefit people and the environment. Now a farmer, the name of his farm is Les Jardins Carrière, of organic crops in Seneville. Mr. Kassouf is driven by a passion for community development to ensure that his farm supplies not only restaurants and stores, but also serves local families, hospitals, daycare centers, and food banks. Leaving a position in high finance to till the soil is an unusual career change, but for this farmer, it was a calling. His career in the financial sector was serendipitous. To quote him, I left Lebanon in 1975 to study engineering at l'École Polytechnique in Montreal. But in 1979, I had a summer job working as a runner at the Montreal Stock Exchange, unquote. It kickstarted his career and led him to take the Canadian Securities course and to study economics at McGill before moving into the brokerage industry and climbing the ranks. For the following 2 decades, Mr. El Kassouf worked in a series of investment firms, becoming a partner in one, before deciding in 2007 that what he really wanted to do was raise organic crops. After Ramsy's presentation, we will continue our open conversation about this evening's topic. Welcome, Ramsy. I'll turn it over to you now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me see. I'm gonna share my screen. I will share screen and share the part. My daughter taught me how to do it. That's good. And she's with us, Nilu. So share. So everybody can see this. Everybody see this? Let me see if I do the double check. All right. Everybody can hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good, good. So, so first, before I want to thank the Ottawa Cluster Environmental Group, you know, for organizing such an event. It's very, very really inspiring for me when I heard about it, and I participated with Bill and Sherry at the studying some books, you know, on ABS for the last 6-7 months, and we really enjoyed having them, and we took it. I mean, like at this moment, you know, I really want to as well, like, I mean, I'm not too familiar with PowerPoint and so on, so I really asked for help from Niloufar, she's my daughter, and set up the presentation and all the technical things. So this presentation is really, I owe her big time. And I begin with telling a little bit about my story, and we already heard about it, but the gist of the whole thing is what, you know, what happened is like the trading stocks and bonds, you know, for the last 20 years and really getting paid well, but at the same time shuffling paper and adding nothing tangible in our society. So when in 2007 we decided to embark on farming, so I had the land, you know, me and my family, and we started this. But when the moment I put a seed in the ground, I mean, the rest is history. I fell in love to see how beautiful the soil can give us food to sustain us, and what we read in the writings at the beginning, how important that seed and how important is its power to transform us as well. So and the rest of the time, you know, I mean, I really immersed myself in this, and I never looked back, and the rest is history. And it's like I have 15 years of experience in farming and meeting a lot of beautiful people in this community, and a lot of knowledge being shared. And I really want to share this experience and see if we can learn some lessons, and maybe we can share this knowledge and take it to the next level. So the topic is like it's very challenging to say, creating a new food system that is really pays well to the farmers, and we can do it with respect to the environment. But at the same time, you know, like I really like explored and meditated a little bit on what was the role of the individual in the whole process, and how the community rallied in, you know, like together to present to us some kind of solution, and how what role the institution plays. So this is the topic, and the outline is going to be this way. So I will be talking about the guiding principles that inspired me, and other principles and values that really needs to be a guiding light for us to embark on project that is for the betterment of our community. And the second one is the current challenges, and we will discuss that in details for farmers and the conventional agriculture. What will be the role of the individual, and what will be the role of the community, and what will be the role of the institution. So I'm going to condense it like in 25 minutes if I can, and I will not really cover the subject in a lot of details, but we can try. So the guiding principle that specifically for me, since I was like a kid, you know, it's always been inspired from the Baha'i faith. Not to exclude anybody else, but there's so many other beautiful guiding principles with other organizations and so on and so forth. But the three main ones that really that can help in the success of any undertaking or any enterprise is the unity, justice, and environmental stewardship. So, and this is a picture I borrowed from my daughter. It's somewhere in Arizona. She was traveling, but it inspired me a lot, and I'd like to share it with you, because I mean, the path to guide us for where we're gonna head in the future and what kind of new food system we're gonna establish is really, it's depends on our unity, and it depends on manifesting justice for all mankind and for all our community and for our society, for our country. So this is a principle that I find I need to really always remember it when I'm pursuing this path. And so Baha'u'llah is the prophet founder of the Baha'i faith. I quote, so powerful is the light of unity that it can illuminate the whole earth. And the second one is by Baha'u'llah as well, the best beloved of all things in my sight is justice. Turn not away therefrom, if thou desires me, and neglected not that I may confide in thee. So Bill and Sherry knows we've been studying the one planet, one habitation. You know, like it's a very interesting book which I suggested to everybody, and we decided to choose one of the quotes from it. And for the BIC, for those who doesn't know, it's the Baha'i International Community who published that work and that book. And the quotation goes like, Baha'i efforts toward environmental sustainability are grounded in the conviction that humanity is organic with the natural world, that the human heart cannot be separated from the environment around it. For Baha'is, advancing a materially and spiritually flourishing civilization in harmony with the natural world is central to the human sense of meaning and purpose. I find it very relevant to what's happening now in our world. But before I go to the, I was in Ganawagi on Saturday, and I was invited for a seed conference, and they were. I was talking about the food, agriculture, and how can we do some agriculture project in Ganawagi, and there's a beautiful youth, like with the Mohawks over there, and when I was mentioning about the three guiding values that like we need to integrate in any enterprise that we to do in our community, and mention unity and justice and the stewardship. I mean, the Mother Earth. They said you have to add a fourth one. And really, right, I said, what is this fourth principle, like value that we need? And they mentioned to me, Ramsy said, like, you need to always, if you want to embark on any project for society, make sure it does not impact negatively future generation. So I said, okay, well, I'll incorporate that. And I remember that really the perspective from the indigenous people is so crucial as well to add to the equation, because this is the time where, we talk about unity, the oneness of mankind. So really, Baha'u'llah has created something what we call a revolution in terms of no more us and them. And mankind is embarking on a journey where we can have everybody's perspective. Everybody has got a stake in this, and everybody have a seat on the table. But the unity among all of us, and we don't know how to do it, but by uniting ourselves and not arguing and not opposing and not us and them, so we can really maybe achieve something, and we keep trying on doing it, and so forth, so on and so forth. So this is, I thought I'll share this one. Is recently I've received it from my friends in Ganawagi. So the challenges in the current food system, this is the outline that I have, and I'm going to go quickly on this one. So this is my farm. This is where we grow, Les Jardins Carrière, I have to say it's a little bit, it's a project of love and labor and dedication by so many people, especially my business partner who started the farm. I started the farm. He's a McGill graduate, young man who really dedicated, and I've been working with him for 15 years when he was a young gentleman. And so Alex Flores and myself, and we have now after 15, almost 14 years, we have other partners. And so I show you some pictures on the farm here. So so this is like the diversity of crop that we can have an extended season and started in March, and now everything is seeded at this time, so we can harvest in April. And so crop diversity, and we can go outside and plant all these seedlings that we prepare now in the field. So crop diversity versus monoculture. Monoculture is really, it's very, very, like with this conventional agriculture is destroying biodiversity. And you can go all down the list of the positive and negative, like 90% of the land, agricultural land in Quebec is actually, we farm on it 3 crops only. So the soya, corn, and hay, and most of it goes for animals, like feeding animals. And this is in Quebec. And the new movement, maybe in the next 50 years or 100 years, there's a movement among the youth now across Quebec with farm like us, inspired from each other, and it's like an open source, and they're really converting those lands slowly, like at least by 2050 or 2060, at least we can go down to reduce it to only 60% and maybe more. Depends on, on how efficient we can do it. So so the challenges, we know the greenhouse gas emission. Conventional agriculture in 2019 statistic from Canada which I read, it's about 10% is caused by conventional agriculture. So this is in Canada, so it's still, like, I mean, 10% is significant. So we really need to encourage more crop diversity, to reduce greenhouse emission, and using less machineries to don't compact the soil and destroy it, and the water usage to be rationalized. I've just heard a statistic, like it's like the really water shortage in the world with the climate change is having a big impact. So there's a technology now how to mitigate inefficiency of water usage and the soil degradation. So this soil degradation, we're losing an alarming rate arable agricultural land by using heavy pesticide and using heavy machinery, and at the same time do not rest the soil to nurture it, and avoiding crop rotation, to the point, like at this moment 75%, like, I mean, almost like the food that we eat is derived from like it's called an oil-based synthetic and chemical fertilizer, or we can say the alternative is soil-based. So the soil is very, very important in every religion, in every organization, and we really need to make sure that the soil is protected. So these are our big challenges, and still the challenges are, and there's a lot of difficulties changing that. So James Speth, Gus Speth, and founder of the World Resource Institute, is a scientist. You've been working on trying to reduce damage to the environment as a scientist, and he really, the career, you can look him up. He's one of the leading environmental defender, and he's trying to find a way of solving these issues. And he shared this quote with him and tell you what's at the heart of the problem, that what's going on in the world and why we are losing a lot of beautiful soil and damage it. He says, I used to think that top environmental problems were biodiversity loss, ecosystem collapse, and climate change. I thought that 30 years of good science could address these problems. I was wrong. The top environmental problems are selfishness, greed, and apathy. And to deal with these, we need a cultural and spiritual transformation. And we scientists don't know how to do that. End of quote. I find it is very, we need to take the science and religion and harmony. Like, religion is not scientists. The scientists they can diagnose the problem probably, but at the same time, combined together, working together, I think we can we can address the challenges and find solution and how to do this one. So the current challenges is here again for farmers is there's so many lands available, the inventory of land available, but it's very big. It's a big barrier for young farmers how to come in and work those lands. So we're trying to, like on the farm here, working with McGill and working with a lot of youth. And I can assure you the tide is turning, and the youth is very much involved and passionate, and is not just doing it for the sake of just getting a salary and pay their bills, but they really want to make a difference in our community. So these are we have our microgreen production facility indoor on like where you see the team of the microgreen, and that's me harvesting kale. And the idea here on the right is like the Jardincaria deliver the food directly by the farmer. And I go like for the last 12 years, I've been delivering this one to food bank and to daycare, to restaurant and grocery stores and so on. And now we just started with the hospital. And so the problem is like when I came in from the financial industry and I walked into this one, I couldn't understand how come I'm working from almost 6 o'clock to 6 o'clock at night and is like hot weather or sometimes cold in the fall, but why we are not compensating the farmers. So the challenges for the last, and the challenge, it becomes real, and still we're working on it. And I have some of my partners listening to to the the presentation now, is that these too many intermediary between the farmer and the end user. So this process of developing the skills internally, and we can manage to market and ship on time directly to the end user, to the community, and so on and so forth. It has been a big battle, and we're still trying to eliminate the intermediate. Carrier, Desjardins Carrier does do all its selling directly from the farm to the institution or to the farmer's market, and so on and so forth. Recognizing the farmer as essential and vital to society, and this is very important. You can't reconstruct and you cannot build a society without multiplying and seeding Quebec and all, I mean, in Canada as well, like we are with new farmers and young farmers, and share and build capacity, how to grow food locally, adequate compensation, working environment, labor. So this is, these three, the compensation, working environment, that we really need to make sure the work of the farmer is essential. COVID helped us a lot. This is a blessing in disguise, the silver lining in the crisis and the catastrophe that mankind went through. But we realized and we understood that the most important thing is the essential work that produces food, that attend to patient in hospital, and really need to re-examine and re-evaluate the compensation for these essential workers in our society. So that still remain a big challenge. Government policy are a big challenge for small farmers, especially like packaging and recycling and conflicting laws between municipality, major cities, and so on. And this is getting a little bit better, but we'll talk with the next slide. So this is from a Baha'i perspective on an agriculture and food course at Wilmette Institute. Baha'u'llah described agriculture as a vital and an important matter, end of quote, that was foremost among the principle conducive to the advancement of mankind and to the reconstruction of the world. Yet current agriculture policy often prioritizes yield and profit over health, sustainability, and cultural features of rural communities. While the poor struggle to even feed themselves, and climate change makes farming increasingly unpredictable, these and other factors threaten food security. So we're gonna start talking about the like the next point. I will answer a lot of questions if you have at the end. So I'm gonna try to respect the time. Role of the individual. So I mean, we can play as individual in the community to enhance the process for creating a new food system that is just for farmers, and as well, like we do it in a respectful way to the environment. Is like you can support local production, support organic. You know, like really the science is there. How pesticide is very damaging to our health. Even the government now is supporting this one because they know that either you pay the hospital or you in healthcare, or you pay the farmers. Sustainable food production. Really, like our clients, when they come, we go to the farmers market, they want to support and pay for this one, because they know how much work. So the individual can support and make sure the food production is sustainable. Sometimes we give them something and he says, no, we want to pay you. So the individual makes sure that the farmer comes back every year. Reducing food waste is a very big issue. So, but we are conscious as individual to participate in reduction of food waste. And we do a lot of tour for children, and they come to the farm, and we really like, I just quickly, this child, I mean, when we tell them, for example, to pull a potato plant or pull a carrot from the ground, you can see that the kids' eyes like really shining, and they were surprised. It's the vegetable, the carrot is not something it's on a shelf. There's a process. We really don't tell, I mean, we don't sell vegetables. We tell the story of the farmer. So this is education and awareness is key to the success of any enterprise, or that you can, especially if you want to engage in building a sustainable food system going forward. So we connect them with the environment. Nature is very, very, very important, that your hand touches the soil and have a respect for it. In Ganawagi, they tell me that there's all kind of a celebration when you seed, and that there's a dance when you touch the soil. It's so beautiful, this process of enhancing and transforming us from the soil. All we have to do is be in the reciprocity with the soil, so we can change ourselves, and we can change it, and vice versa. So what we read is really the nature world is linked to us, encouraging others to make informed choice. Independent investigation of the truth is very important, especially now. The medias and the social media sometimes can take us to places that says different ideas. So have an informed choice. And as an individual as well, participating in local initiative and organization, there's so many like-hearted organizations are doing the same thing, and we really need to connect them together, advocating an equitable and sustainable food policy, which I will touch. I mean, but the individual can decide and can influence our decision maker to do to have an equitable, sustainable food policy in our community. So I can go for the role of the community, which is very important as a component of participating and building these enterprise. In our case here, we're talking about food system that is just. So building, this is the farmers market you see in the middle here. It's a labor of love. It's almost painting every Saturday, beautiful colors, harvested by young farmers. The people behind are the farmers who are harvesting this. And we've done that for almost like 13 years, Saturday in, Saturday out, connecting with the community you see on the left. And they say, we would like to come and see it. And they bring their kids, and we teach them that. And at the same time, the young farmers here on the right, those young people are graduate from McGill University and other university with degree in agriculture and environmental science or bioresources. But this new blood that comes to the farm every year are the one who creating those new food systems because of their capacity of contributing to the equation. So really building culture and knowing that really on farming is like almost exploring the universe. We will never arrive. Have an attitude of learning, walk in the path to really create this new culture. So all together, you can participate in the community already across Canada now and across the globe. They do the CSA, which everybody familiar with it, advancing money in advance to the farmers, and where they know crops to sell and preparing it and buy share in the harvest. And this way they come and pick up their shares on a weekly basis. And you have the farmers market and cooperative. Farmers market in the old days, and it's the rhythm of the community to meet on a weekly basis, where they can dance, music, share their story, bring their kids, talk with each other, and all the producers and the farmers come to this location on a weekly basis. The excuse is to get the food, but it's really this kind of culture that is developed. And the food, we're talking about workshop and seminar. There were so many, and we can create, you can find it in your community for sure. And capacity building and education for the youth. it's a platform of learning and working with others and bringing new stuff and new ideas. Community gardens is happening now everywhere in Canada. We can see it in Montreal as well. And the food recovery and redistribution program, we don't let anything to waste. We connect with the community. There's food banks that they really need the food. They come and help us on the farm. They pick it up, and the same day they go to Park Extension or Côte des Neiges, and they distribute this food for free and don't let it go to waste. And at the same time, in the community, we can develop a local food network. I mean, here, like we have like the city of Montreal has launched an initiative that helped Carrier as Les Jardins Carrier and other farmers in the island, in the West Island, where we're creating a food hub, where you can see on the right are people from the Saint-Justine Hospital, from Equiterre, and you can see the Institut Cardiologie, and you can see the CHUM, and so many other organizations are participating and reactivating and revitalizing the agriculture sector in the West Island. And we will bring the tour and build networks. So if anybody needs some more details, I don't have the time to talk a lot about it, but the food hub is something happening and it's really very encouraging, and we're launching phase 2 now, and a lot of people are participating. The Salim, which is a local and integrated food system in Montreal, which is an initiative by Collectif Récolte that it's working with us as well. Communo Assiette, which is like, it's again another organization led by Equiterre, where they bring producers, farmers, institutional, cafeteria, Concordia, McGill, hospitals, food bank, all together on one platform of consultation and connecting people together. So building local food network is very important to develop community. And finally, we can talk about the role of the institution, which is very important like we learn that things what happens usually in we get the policy, we bring it down to the community and we say do it. But I don't think this is the process has to be inverse. The community, the grassroots, they need to connect together. So the more institution, I mean, I know those people on the left here with the, it's really like, this is the head chef for a kindergarten and like a daycare in Rosemont, La Petite Patrie, and she have 200 children that we bring them the food, the farmers directly, and they are really happy that the food is coming from the farm, and the kids are aware of that. And even like there's a trip for those 200 kids to come to the farm and meet. So we can, the institution plays a major role. On the right side is the team of Saint-Justine who preparing food on a daily basis to children and hospital in Montreal here, which is the children's hospital. And they prepare 7,000 meals a day. And they started now, they wanna participate as an institution in this kind of platform. So to make it quickly here, I just want to say the more diversity, the more participation, everybody have a say and give their perspective, and the farmers as well sitting on the table, and all of this, you'll have a greater impact. So we have like, I mean, I can give you more details in the next in the questions, or you can call me on this one, because I cannot control myself. So the closing is, how do we get to a sustainable and ecological food system? So I mean, I've thought about it a lot, because it's a 15 years of an experience of a practical model that we have dedicated people try to make a living, but at the same time, their bottom line is the soil, and it's not just profit. But we want to make sure that it works. So we need to have some kind of principle that guide us, and embody those principles in on our deliberation, and manifest the unity, because the oneness of mankind is very important. It's really, I mean, like really, if we make any decision, but it's united is better than the decision, but we are disagreed and disunited. The justice is can't afford to have 33 million child in Africa. They don't have water. They actually take in the water, and they say we're getting 4 liters only. And do I wash with it, the kids, or do I cook with it, or I drink it? This is a world cannot be sustained to be this. We really need to have that justice, and we really need to have a big respect and kind of like the earth and the soil that we walk on it is the source of our sustainability and survival. And we need to get everybody on there, like the interconnectedness that I talked about it before. Sit down all together, individual, community, institution. And the institution is really supporting the individual initiative and supporting the community, change their policies and legislation to achieve those goals. And each one of us can reflect on their personal role. I mean, either we can sit down and we just like say, okay, there's a problem in the world, or we become ourselves a social good. What responsibility we have, and take all this thing and see what the issues at hand. And in my case is the food system. I wake up every morning with my team and the partners that we have, and even everybody that works at the farm. We want to impact the food system. We want to change the food system. And everybody said you're utopic, but I said, I know I'm utopic, but I want to do it step by step. So action, it requires to have a decision to do something, and do not. I mean, we're not. We did it, and everybody said you're crazy, and but we're managing. It's still like a lot of challenges, but slowly. And now everybody, we can witness the governments are really start supporting us. So do the action, the decision to act and try and come again and have guided by these principles and reflect again and do the action again. We don't know what the food system will look like. Nobody knows how do we do this one, but these are the criteria that we can really do. So, and thank you very much. So there's a lot to share, but this is a pictures of salad mix that we grow inside like for 3 months before May, so the season extension, we do it for 9 months. So from March till almost December 15. And this is our microgreen vertical inside that we need some cash flow in the winter. So we try to have extra crops to grow all year long. And this is, I like this picture of the kale, but it's looking because the kale, you can plant 3 kales in your garden and you can feed yourself all summer by rotating and strip it, becomes like a palm tree. And this is onion. So thank you very much. And if you're on the farm, I'll make you taste some of my sweet Le Jardin Carrière cherry tomato. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That was a lot in 25 minutes, and a really good overview with many ideas that are really worth exploring. And so to give people enough time, I think there's some questions in the chat. And just to say, someone mentioned that Abdul Baha said the more the microorganisms in the soil, the better the plants will grow, and that's in the Star of the West. I wondered if you had any comments on that.
Sorry, I'm going to drink some water. You're going to repeat.
Sure, I understand.
So repeat the question one more time.
Okay, sorry. This is from Janet Kandel. Abdul Baha said, the more the microorganisms in the soil, the better the plants will grow. And that's in the Star of the West. And if you had any comments on that.
Yeah, the only comment, like if you tell my mother that Ramsy is growing food, she will not believe you, because I started in farming and I knew nothing about it. So, but I immerse myself, and it's a lot of information. But I did learn, if you take just a handful of soil in your hand, there's so many microorganisms and nutrition in it that till this moment, scientists don't have names for. I mean, imagine, maybe Paul can help me on that. But this is really soil-based food is very, very, very important. So there's a lot of microorganism that necessary for the soil, and every plant takes something from the soil. Some plant take garlic can take something, and like broccoli can take something else. So that's why every year we know what they take from the soil. So it's a feast for all the plant and the seed to pick and choose. But we really need to replenish it by doing a crop rotation, and we as well by adding organic matters, and do some of planting and relax it for 1 year. So this intensive farming in the same plot and all this thing destroy microorganism, devoid it from all nutrition that we really needed.
Thank you. And then Stephen Thurwell's asking, do you have a parallel system of composting?
A parallel system of composting. I mean, we have a big pile. If you come to the farm, it's almost like a mountain, surrounding the farmhouse and the inside. We really, anything that is leafy stuff, and it goes in there, and we turn it sometimes. And really, it's we really need to use compost, and it takes time. And there's a way of adding nitrogen to it by adding grass and turn it around on a regular basis. But that's the regular compost. But there's another fertilizing, what we call it green manure. I don't know if you've heard of this, but the green manure is, you see, the soil is, if it's bare and there's nothing on it, it's very bad. So you always have to cover it. So it's a row cover. So you can, early season, we can take your garden's plot and you plant buckwheat, and you let the buckwheat grow, but not to flower. So because you want to mow it down and incorporate it into the soil. And we find that the buckwheat and what we call it a green manure, versus animal manure, it adds nitrogen to the soil, because these legumes, they kind of fixed nitrogen for free for us from the atmosphere. And at the same time, they have deep root, and they can aerate the soil. And the third one is when they grow so fast, and they're very robust legume. So they choke all the weeds, so you don't have to put pesticide. So the final one, when you mow it and you let it degrade into organic matter, so it will eventually incorporate, and is ready 6 weeks after, or even 3 weeks after, to put the crop you want in it. So in this one, we can't survive of protecting our soil if we don't do the green manuring, and if we don't do the crop rotation.
That's really interesting. Thank you. And Sharai says, thank you. Alexander Haskell says, what were your biggest challenges in the very beginning of the venture?
I mean, I'm in a residential area on Phillip Street here, where we are in Seneville. And there's this farmland used to be farmed for a long time ago in Montreal. Used to buy their vegetable from these lots, and it's got almost a huge farmland here. And it was developer who used to own it, and there was a challenge, is really, when I bought it and I said I want to farm it, because I bought it a long time ago when I can afford to buy it. Now It's like, but they really didn't want me to do it. You know, like, I mean, I had vandalism, you know, like I had people said, go to Naperville or somewhere else, you know, like do farming. What are you doing here? This is, I mean, people had intention of what this land becomes a bush, buckthorn, abandoned, all the beautiful habitat that is on it, that exists on it. It's so they can be eventually change zoning, and you can build on it. And this is something that I had difficulty for, because even I was petitioned at the beginning, like to like against, like not do that project, you know. So and Paul had like, I remember Paul had some experience, and we came in and saw how was the completely abandoned, re-establishing and uh, like have the soil and the farm. We couldn't even, it was like flooded and it was like abandoned and all these things. So that was very difficult to uh, make it again accessible, and we can clean it up and resurrect and reactivate the agricultural land that used to be one of the most beautiful land, all the way from Seneville all the way down to Côte des Neiges in Montreal. You know, like so this is they. I mean, I took it personally because there's only 4% of green space left on the entire island of Montreal, and is located here. So so now after 15 years, I mean, like there's so many difficulty happen at the beginning. The other thing is the make a living out of this, which is really very difficult to do at the beginning. And I mean, it's really been a big challenge to make the sustainable food model can pay a compensation for farmers that they are entire time doing this. And one of the challenges as well is is uh, is getting the municipality and like the Ministry of Agriculture, you know, like MAPAC here, and the to help us out, you know, like at the beginning to like there's a lot of you can't start that project if you don't have the support as well from local government and from the Ministry of Agriculture. And like 10, 12, 15 years ago versus now is day and night. You know, like now it's like, what do you want? You know, like what can we help you? We can offer this, you know, like the government now is writing to hospital to say, uh, direct your budget to buy local food, like big hospital. So they are arranging for us to develop a food hub so they can supply. So that's the challenges. Yes.
Carol was asking, and I think you've more or less answered that, as change agent, do you find you're being listened to in order to bring about more organic ways to farming? And you were saying the government is now more apt to listen to you and your neighbors, etc.
Yeah, there is I mean, like COVID really has changed completely the way government look at uh, like independence of our food to be grown locally.
Mm-hmm.
So like the federal government just announced yesterday $3.5 billion that goes for this kind of like with the help of the local like the provincial government. We're talking about uh, this food hub, for example, that we're building here. They are talking about building a storage room, like a building of 6,000 square feet that is very expensive to incur an upfront cost for farmers, but to use collectively for farmers, you know. So we joined all our farmers, like more and more the farmers now are working together and going to this collective offer. And since the demand is huge and there's not enough production, so there's about 5 to 6 farmers in the West Island. Carrier is very much involved in this thing, but we are saying that we will establish a food hub in the West Island, but we can reach out to Rigaud, to Hudson, And we can, I mean, there's a big network of farmers who are doing the same thing as us, that they can participate within 150 kilometers. And we can go to the east end as well, to another food hub, and in the central Montreal and so on. So there's more, there's about, I know there's 1,000 farmers in Quebec that is like doing organic, and they developed a co-op. It's called the Café, is a coopérative agricole de proximité écologique, which founded in 2015, and is like really now they can almost like influence the government to support them in their initiative.
That's fantastic. Thank you. Bill and Sherry?
So I've observed, and people who live in Ottawa can verify or say that I'm seeing it wrong, but it seems to me that in the areas around Ottawa where there's green spaces, that people are using agriculture-friendly inclinations in government policy to engage in a long-term plan to convert green spaces into agriculture on the way to turning it into developable land. And that seems to be, I think, a large threat to the green space in the Ottawa area. And I don't know if these kinds of activities are happening in broader areas in Ontario and Canada as a whole. But I'm just wondering, how would you stop this? How would you approach trying to keep this from happening in terms of maybe policies that you would recommend to the Ministry of Agriculture, or just generally, do you see this kind of thing as a problem, and if so, how would you confront it?
Yeah, it's really the youth, like I'm talking young farmers. I mean, I know it from my daughter, and the generation, there's a beautiful perspective and attitude toward the environment and the earth by young people now, that they are really taking charge of their own future. And so for me, I've noticed the way the approach is key to find those passionate young farmers and arrange for them a lot. Like it's either by because so many of us, I mean, the average age of holding 80% of the world farmland is 70 years old, or 65 years old. And the rest of it, it's all owned by big corporation. So so this model at Le Jardin Carrière, like, because I was the owner of the land, but I found a young farmer who is passionate, who wants to make a difference in his community. His motivation is not profit, but he wants to make a living. And he really did it in like together. But at the same time, the government right away in Quebec, we have a plan, it's called Agri-Invest, which the Financière Agricole du Québec, which is it's kind of like the support for young farmers. So if you own 20% of a farm and you under 40 years old, you can get a grant for $50,000. Like it's so we bought a tractor with it, we bought a greenhouse with it, and we started. And he became a partner with me, and we took in, like, we own the farm 50-50, and his name is Alex Flores. And now we still, after 15 years, we're doing that, and we're getting young farmers, and so many young farmers who came in through our farm, we introduce them to another farm that they like, or some piece of land. Like, somebody mentioned Liz Morgan, have lands. So we use that, Liz Morgan and some other farmers. I mean, the process of connecting those huge inventory of land to beautify it for the landlord, if you want, if like they can't work it anymore. And so this is one method. And the other thing is now there's this initiative, like with the Pôle Logistique agricole del West de l'Île, which is an infrastructure for farmers. So there's so many ideas and tools that we can facilitate how to start a farm. Like how do we, the incubation of young farmers. The knowledge is there. The practice we can do it there. We have already existing models. We have 400 to 500 farms that participate in this process now, that they're hiring and so on and so forth. McGill is partnership with McGill University because they have the agriculture department. So McGill is definitely a major partner, and we're meeting with them because they have the McDonald campus, and they come in here on Wednesday. But this is a partner since 2009 with McGill to use their agricultural land, and because which is adjacent to our farm, and it was abandoned. They do hay on it before, and now it's a certified organic farm. And the students, they do a lab of learning while they're doing their degree, and they get 3 credits for it, and they know the know-how from the farmers. So we are participating. So they got some institution like McGill, they got Victoriaville and so on. There's a big movement. If anybody wants to start something somewhere, we can really we can help.
Thank you very much. It's so good to listen to something with such positivity, that there's really a place to go. Saeed, Shida? Or
Shida.
Please, yes.
I don't have a question, or more I have a comment on our role as individuals. We have to change our mindset about how we see the world. I've lived in many places, and I find in North America, we still live in our bubble. And so we have to change our mindset about, especially as Baha'is, that how our impact is very important. So by supporting a local farmer, and it's not only the food, it's everything else, materialism, etc., that we have to change our mindset. Everything is linked together. It's not only going and buying local vegetables that we're going to change. That's a big part of it. So as Baha'is, we have to change our mindset about how we see the world and what's important and what's our priorities, not only earning big money and having a big house. That's it.
Yeah, Shada has been a major support. As an individual, like playing her role, like she's been translating to French to us. She's been participating in the farmers market for the last 10 years, 12 years. So this is action that we can participate in and do, and it's really like we appreciate that, and like we almost have a coffee and tea and all this thing. But I'm less busy now, so I can talk.
Maybe we can just do a few short questions now. Bill and Sherry asked if you have animals on the farm.
No, I only had chicken for eggs, and now we may be resurfacing that again in the coming years. So there's a demand, but we're focusing mainly because we didn't have any cross contamination and. For the food and for our certification. So no, it's purely diversified vegetables, and we're specialized in salads. So we are really the main salad producer on the island among the farmers, and we produce like 500 to 600 kilos of greens every week that goes to hospital and the restaurant and the food bank and daycare and grocery stores. Yeah.
Thank you. And this is an interesting question. Marion Finley, looking ahead, there are now serious efforts for space travel, even colonizing Mars and perhaps a moon of Jupiter. Astronauts must remain in cold space for long periods and try and set up farms on Mars. How might they survive in space in rather sterile conditions with little richness offered by terrestrial soil.
Well, Marion is. Thank you for sharing this. Well, I mean, at this moment I have enough problem to deal with the soil here, so I'm gonna be focusing. And yeah, I mean, like the world, we don't know. Like we still started the changing of. I mean, mainly we're engaged in transforming our environment to become a beautiful paradise on Earth here. And recently I read about the 9-year plan, and it's really, we had the first year of beginning of transforming our environment to become just, equitable for everybody on this planet. So all I want to do is in my neighborhood at this moment, but I can assure you it is happening across the planet, across the world. And there's so many initiatives and this critical mass of changing and flipping like this. It's not far, like it's there's a lot of beautiful thing. Using my financial background, I am very bullish on humanity. So
Good. And this is a very, thank you. This is a very good point from Janice Kundal to please look into the Association for Baha'i Studies working group that meets the last Sunday of every month with wonderful Baha'i speakers and discussion on agriculture. And this is did this go to me or yes, to everyone? So this is in the chat. And it's www.agriculture-working-group.mailchimpsite.com. And if you didn't get that and you send us your email, we can send you the information on that afterwards as well.
And I just say that there's recordings, like we've been meeting every month for about 2 or 3 years now. So there's recordings of all the speakers and they've come from all over the world. They're not just North America, although it is the Association of Baha'i Studies, and it's hopeful, like what Ramsy has been saying. And it's amazing how many Baha'is are in the leading edge of change. It's quite interesting in the field of agriculture and even in things like coral reef restoration. And it's very interesting. So they're all recorded. Dawn is here on the screen and she's the convener of our team. And please, if you come and see the recordings and encourage the agriculture working group of the Association of Baha'i Studies. The lady that started at Winnie has been at it for about 4 decades. And she's made a compilation of the writings on agriculture too. There's a link to that on the website as well.
Thank you for giving that information. So this is, so we'll have our last question and then we'll turn it over to Dawn. And this is from Alexander. If you had unlimited funds, Ramsy, would it change anything that you're doing?
very tempting question. What I mean, I used to be in the fast money before, so I know, like, I need to have maximization of profit for shareholders every 3 months. So since 2007, I shifted to, we call it the slow money, like Woody Tosh, I mean, there's a huge socially responsible enterprise, and it's attracting a lot of funding now, and it's, I think, like we need to identify those initiatives to be socially responsible. And if I had the unlimited fund, I really, it's, as we know, like we have unlimited fund to save the planet and we failed. So I have an unlimited fund to establish peace. For the last 100 years. We had two world wars, and we maybe have a third war. And so I think it's won't change anything of this, the process that I'm doing. But definitely it enhances if it's maybe added to the slow fund, that it can encourage the creation of of young farmers to learn about how to grow food for our local community at an affordable price. Because I noticed like the problem is not the people who have money they can buy so healthy food. Like we have like now we noticed in Quebec there's $100 million goes into healthcare, and they go to food bank, and the food bank they receive like in Montreal we divided into 30 tables of concertation. Every table received 300 to 500, sometimes $1 million, and they go and buy processed food, and it's been dumped on the stomach of the most vulnerable of our society. And we know that Lachine area here, like it's a desert food area. So we said to the government, well, give us the money. Give us the money. So we don't, I mean, like we want to have the farmers to get paid, and we will bring you fresh food twice a week, a network of farmers that we set up 7 farmers market in Lachine. And even Sina, my son, who finished agriculture and environmental science out of McGill, and worked for 2 years at the city, developing those markets, and even did a garden. And now this thing is accelerating, and the masses are eating the food, and they don't have to mark it up. I mean, this is crazy. So you buy the lettuce for $1.50, instead of giving it away, have the dignity and respect of the consumer who cannot afford to buy expensive organic food, but you can give it to them at the cost, instead of like just donate it. And then the one that we know really don't have any money, we identify, and we can direct those food fresh basket directly to them. So this is our initiative happening a lot. And don't forget, I mean, like I'm shocked, before the COVID, food insecurity in Montreal used to be 1 in 10. Now it is 1 in 4.
Oh,
Like
geez.
every night, there's 27% of Montrealers going like with suffering from food insecurity. They cannot meet and so the money is very important, but how do we use it, and how do we allocate it, and how do we apply it in our so this kind of initiative, there's a lot of waste. I mean, not but money could be a sword with 2 edges. So I mean, like we need this kind of stewardship of people managing those money, and we can do a lot of things. Thank you.
Thank you. And over to Dawn then. DAWN, Dawn Egerton, and then Dawn Irving.
Right.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. This is so wonderful to hear this this evening. I wanted to mention that when someone asked about food in space, there's actually a Baha'i who has worked on this with the Canadian Space Agency and NASA. And I put a link in there. It's supposed to be Food Challenge. It's the Deep Space Food Challenge. It's Sohail Mottahedeh. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Sohail. But it's interesting, the innovations that are coming out with agriculture, so many different things that we wouldn't have ever dreamed of. But algae is, as you know, is a very nutritious product, and he's done a lot of experiments exploring all the possibilities with algae and in space. So I just thought that was an interesting question.
Thank you, Dawn. And thank you to everybody for this wonderful discussion. I know that I've learned a lot, and I'm sure everyone else has. Is there something you just want to say in conclusion, Ramsy, before we finish up?
I just want to thank this initiative, like to really share our stories with each other, and success and failure. It doesn't matter what's the lesson learned. And the more we share it, and we know that there's about 10,000 clusters in the world right now, and there's so many beautiful things happening. But at the same time, there's maybe 100,000, not in the Baha'i world, but I can assure you, beautiful things are happening by everybody, by a lot of the people of the planet, and we really need to get together and and really solve those issues that are facing mankind at this moment. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Heather, there's a additional question from Janet Kandal in the chat. I know that she probably wants to have a comment that she didn't have a chance to do.
Where is that? Please look at the Association for Baha'i Studies. Okay, Alexander Haskell, Don Eglinton. Oh, if we could support smallholder farmers in poor countries to have good quality, non-GMO, diverse seeds, tools, agroecology training, they could double their incomes.
The reason I say that is because the Baha'i called Hugh Locke has already teamed up with people in Haiti. And over the last 10 years, they planted 10 million trees. And the way they did it is they got the financial incentive right into the hands of the smallholders, farmers' hands, so that they could buy the seeds and the tools and the training. And they've doubled their incomes. And now the soil is so good, they're growing and selling cotton to Timberland, the original company that supported the incentives for the smallholder farmers. And they run 6,000 smallholder farmers. They run the whole thing themselves after 10 years. So it's possible to really, stop the poverty that's just causing so much environmental destruction, as well as injustice and so on, by listening to the local people and making diverse, farming systems with diverse cropping and getting the funding right into the hands of the smallholder farmers. So many projects, it doesn't get to the smallholder farmer. And most of them are women, by the way. In Uganda, there's definitely women.
Thank you. Thank you for adding that. It's because we're not just talking, agriculture doesn't just have to do with Eastern Canada. Agriculture is a world issue. And we have to remember that we're part of one world. So thank you for bringing us back to that. And thank you to Ramsy. And now, Dawn, would you like to just play one more piece if you're still there?
Yeah, sure, I can do that. No problem.
Wonderful. It's always good to begin and end with music.
This song was written by a couple of musicians from the East Coast, Newfoundland, and it's called Music and Friends, and it pretty much is self-explanatory what it's about. I've done a lot of living, and I've found no matter where you go, the whole world round, they always go together, hand in hand. Where there's one, there'll be the other, music and friends. When blue skies turn to gray and hide the sun, when tired hands their daily work has done, nothing seems to turn things round again and make the whole world right, like music and friends. Music and friends feels so good to bring together. Music and friends, side by side, no one can break them. If we take the time to make them, nothing else can take the place of music and friends. Music and friends feels so good to bring together. Music and friends, side by side, no one can break them. If we take the time to make them, where there's one, there'll be the other, music and friends. Nothing makes the whole world right like music and friends.
Thank you, Dawn.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And thank you to everyone for coming, and to Ramsy, and for raising our spirits and giving us hope for the future and a way to move forward. Thank you. And we look forward to seeing you at our next Environmental Cafe, which is Tuesday, April 25th at 7:30. And Darlene Peterson of Ottawa will be speaking about our urban forest and neighborhood woods community-based tree inventory and the tree stewardship program. And I hope some of you can come to that. And thank you for all the resources that are in the chat. This is just a wonderful online evening sense of community. Thank you, everyone. Alava pa.
Thank you, Heather.
Thank you.